I have several recordings, but one stands out. A recording Tim himself submitted to his lawyer, Matthew Hewitt. That recording became sworn affidavits that ultimately took my child away from me. In those court documents, they painted me as homicidal, suicidal, and in urgent need of psychiatric intervention. It sounds like 3 people sitting around a bonfire drinking and laughing and having a good old time. Let me be clear, there was no CPS investigation. I have full custody of my other children. No one made any effort to protect the other 4 minors in my home, and because the goal was never about safety, it was about control. And this is what abuse looks like in 2025. It's no longer fists and bruises, it's lawyers, affidavits, and false narratives, and it's disturbingly effective. Did you know 70% of abusers gain custody of their children through manipulative tactics just like this? Because when you have money and the right attorney, the legal system becomes a weapon, and in many cases it works. I'm not really sure where to start. I've written this out several times, and I'm struggling to find the best way to tell it. I am not perfect. I have done things that I'm not proud of, and I've failed in many ways. But none of that means I deserve the abuse that I've suffered. This is an embarrassing story. I hate that this has happened. I've condemned myself more than anyone ever could. And it's only with God's strength that I'm able to tell it. We all have secrets. We all carry shame. We all have mistakes. But I stand here humbled and courageous, trying from God Almighty to share something I wish I never had to. And this story transcends my circumstances. And if you've ever felt like the courts weren't designed to protect you, you're not crazy. You're not alone. And it's time we started talking about it. In July of 2022, my husband of 16 years left me and our 4 children. I later learned he left me for his mistress. I was devastated. I was suddenly a single mom, homeschooling with no reliable income, fighting to keep my kids connected to their father. In November of that year, I filed for divorce. Around that time, Tim Farver, a man 15 years older than me, sought me out. He claimed he was separated. I was naive. I thought separated meant separated. I didn't know he was still sleeping in the same bed as his wife, who had no idea where his heart really was. I've racked my brain trying to understand how I got into this situation, a situation that escalated beyond anything I imagined. I tried to escape him 6 different times. Each time I pulled away, he tried to control me more. He'd show up in my bedroom in the middle of the night while my kids slept beside me, begging to get back together. I had no choice. I either wake the kids and cause a scene or silently agreed just so he could have his release in the other room. I was stuck. He overcompensated with gifts and control. He gave me a Fitbit to help me get healthy, but it became a tracking device. He monitored my heart rate and accused me of cheating if it rose too high. And the irony of that sentence is not lost on me, since he was the one still in an active marriage. When I pulled away too much, he would pretend to accidentally impregnate me. I had no idea how to escape. My shame was overwhelming, and I didn't know how to ask for help. My divorce finalized in August of 23, and my baby was conceived around that time. Tim made sure of it as a way to keep me tied to him, to control me. And I'm not sharing this for sympathy. I'm not sharing for any pity or any other reason that I'm genuinely afraid. And I think we should all be afraid that we live in a system where truth doesn't matter, where the law is only as strong as the people willing to enforce it, where silence wins and abusers walk free. You might hear this and think, oh, we don't know the whole story. Or maybe you're thinking, Kelsey probably did something. Maybe it's, I don't want to get involved. I don't need to know all the details. It's just not something I want to be involved in. Maybe it's this thought. Surely the system works, because if it didn't, we would know. But your silence, your indifference, doesn't make you neutral. It makes you part of the problem. People ask, why don't victims just leave? But how can they when they're unheard, unsupported, and unprotected? He begged me for an abortion 4 separate times, sobbing and manipulating, but despite my flaws, I knew in my core I would never choose that. I would always choose life. and that angered him. He saw my refusal as an attack on his manhood. So he told his wife, and together they decided the best solution for me was to pretend I was their surrogate and allow them to adopt the child because they said I already had too many children. And I was not okay with that. But ashamed and desperate, I begged for his wife's forgiveness, offering to accommodate them, even allowing both of them to attend appointments and the birth. Then things got strange. His wife Estee said it was my responsibility to keep Tim satisfied. They would arrange a schedule for when he'd be with me and when he'd be with her. I told her that was abusive and that we both deserved better. Shortly after, Tim's behavior escalated dramatically. I told him we weren't together, he could come to appointments and I'd be civil, but that just wasn't enough for him. When he realized I wouldn't cave, he threatened to take away all of my children. That threat haunts me every day. It seemed impossible, but with his obsession, money, and resources, I knew he could try. Did you know victims are most at risk when they try to leave? Studies show 70% of domestic violence-related deaths happen after a victim tries to escape. If that doesn't shake you, it should. If you've been looking the other way, it's time to stop. I'm ordinary, just another single mom, a daughter, a friend, a person, and that's why this matters. If this can happen to me, it can happen to your sister, your neighbor, your best friend. It can happen to you. In October of 23, with enough evidence, texts, emails, police reports documenting a break-in, I obtained a PPO. In November of 23, Tim fought that PPO in court. And that trial was brutal. I sat and listened as his lawyer delivered a 30-minute monologue about how the PPO was an egregious assault on Tim's character, completely ignoring all of the evidence against him. The PPO was upheld, but I walked out of that courtroom feeling broken and violated. On December 24th, 23, Tim dropped off a $500 plus TV, a Wii console, and games, knowing I don't celebrate Christmas. This was calculated psychological control. When I called the police, they told me without video evidence, I should just be grateful for the gifts. The stalking and harassment continued. Tim and his wife Estee both monitored me on social media, blocked everywhere except TikTok, where they kept watching my profile. I logged this and reported it to police, who told me it wasn't against the law or a PPO violation. So on March 16th, my birthday, Tim left shoes outside my house again, avoiding cameras, again breaking the PPO. Police said purchasing gifts wasn't a violation. I was scared. My baby was due soon and I knew I had to get away. I listed my house for sale and moved 15 minutes away. I had a free birth, hoping a delayed birth certificate might protect my daughter. I've accepted that I may never get justice, but I will be persistent. I won't give up. My daughter was born April of 24. In August of 24, I was served with paternity paperwork. By October, Tim's lawyer had convinced me to drop the PPO early, threatening that my refusal would be used against me as uncooperative co-parenting. By November, Tim had 3 days a week parenting time. I gave him extra holidays, doing my best for my daughter. Soon after that, he demanded my daughter's last name be changed to his, claiming it was my duty to honor him and his daughter. I refused. And in January of 25, I contacted friend at the court multiple times, afraid for May's safety. They dismissed my concerns. A domestic violence screening confirmed my fears, but again, no action. Tim isn't some shadowy figure. He's someone you see at the grocery store. He performs at the local bars. He blends in. He smiles on cue. He appears harmless. But as women, we're trained to assess danger, to read the room, clutch our keys, politely laugh when uncomfortable. Stay tuned for part 2.